turn it up to 11.
Oh, would you like to start as the moderator? I have the microphone. You will listen to.
Do you know who you think he is? Do you all want the birthday?
They're probably not going to bother us if they just walk in. So.
Yeah, I think you just walk in and...
Okay, so just leave it like this.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah.
What's going
Yeah,
on
please.
here? Is it bingo in here?
I-19. I-19.
So this is Get Off My Lawn, Cosplay Over 40. If you're in the wrong room, please feel free to take off. It looks like you're all in the right room. So basically the idea is to give you some tips, tricks, give you some other things to avoid pitfalls and
Bucket placement.
Shush. And other things. All gleaned from years of experience for cosplayers who are really specifically over 40. There's a couple of youngins on the panel, but we consider them old anyways.
It's not true.
I am Charles. My cosplay name is Goofy Kaka. It's nice and adultish. So,
That's some funny shit.
I've been doing cosplay here for about 5 years. I actually debuted my first cosplay here as Rogue. Find myself drawn towards gender swaps. I tend to do something a little outside the box for what most cosplayers will do. What I'm wearing today is Yang Xiaolong from the anime Ruby, also a gender swap. And I do a lot of my costumes as trial and error, where some of the panelists are much more planning in theirs. I do more failing than I do success. So, we're going to go ahead and introduce our panelists, starting with Brad Halleck here as BH Cosplay.
What?
You can talk
That's
now.
you?
This is your turn to
Oh,
talk.
now I can...
Now's my time. Give him the conch.
So, yes, my name is Brad Halleck. I'm with BH Cosplay. I've been cosplaying. I was a late bloomer into cosplay. I got into cosplay about 5 years ago. So, I'm 48, and actually Chuck is the one who introduced me to cosplay.
You're welcome.
You're not welcome. Everybody is just shaking their head. No, we're not. So, yeah, I was and it was this con was my first con, and it was back in 2014, which seems like that was 5 years ago. So, yeah, and I came and I was like, I didn't really know a whole lot about ComiCons, and so I went from there to cosplaying a Jane Cobb was my first character I cosplayed to. And I'm cosplaying this, which is a Skyrim dragon bone or dragon scale armor, depending on what you say. What you tell me.
Wrong.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you said, you were wrong.
So, 40, we just...
Yeah.
Right.
Just tell them to get off our lawn. Or we pretend we can't hear them.
Right.
We'll pretty much forget what you said anyway.
So, yeah, that's me.
It's my turn. Okay. I am Heather. I'm also known as the Feathered Fart. I've been doing this for about 12-ish years. My first ComiCon I went to was actually Rose City in Portland. And I saw all these people in costumes. And I had been costuming for years anyway, but kind of on the side. And it was not one of those things that I shared with others. It was something I did for myself. And so I went to a convention and I was like, wow, there's all these people in costumes. I want to do this. I don't know how. So I'm just going to do it. And one of my first cosplays was Wonder Woman, actually. I made a little skirt and played this look because I had found my cosplay online. She's really cool. This is what she's doing. So she does. And went from there. And then 2 years ago, I made a giant build Wonder Woman again and blew my skills. Thank you. Thank you. But it's a lot of fun and I love it. And I'm dead, frankly.
Or they won't let you play.
I know, it'll be hard, but I'll be dead in costume.
I'm Tina, and my cosplay handle, however you want to call it, is Tina Rivets. I don't know, I guess I've been doing it for 6 maybe years? I really don't know. I started out doing stuff that's kind of referred to as closet cosplay, just kind of pulling stuff literally out of your closet and throwing it together, calling it a costume, calling it a bit of cosplay. I've been doing different costuming stuff though most of my life. I have literally nose and scar wax I don't use it because that's gross and it's really sticky when I've tried to use it, even though it's gross. But I was desperate. That's just sentimental. Yeah, I've kind of evolved. Most of my stuff, similar to Chuck, is gender bends, also kind of things that I like to make people laugh with. For instance, this is not Luscious Malfoy. This is not Lucius Malfoy. This is Luscious Malfoy.
It's fun.
It's funny.
I see what you do.
Luscious. Yeah. So it's. That's pretty much all about that. It's continuously giving out.
My name is Murray. I'm foam friction cosplay. Friction is comfortable. The main thing I've been doing cosplay now 4 and a bit. It's fine. The biggest drive for me was my kids. And now that my kids are gone on to their own things and they've taken their skills that they've learned from this and are pursuing on, I won't give it up. I just enjoy it too much. It's a really good connection for me to my children because they have trouble. And that connection I'm still finding greatly with everyone you see here. And I'm able to keep that. So for me, cosplaying over 40, yeah, I'm going to keep on doing it. I just enjoy it too much. The creativity, being able to pass on those skill sets to other people. It's pretty much been my time for something.
So one of the first things I want to touch on is one of the benefits of doing cosplay over 40. We're just going to basically touch on different areas. One of the things that I want to touch on is benefits. Naturally, you hear about all the kids who are doing it, have been doing it for a couple of years, they're trying to build careers out of it. We're on the opposite end of that spectrum. We've got our careers established, and that gives us the time and the funds to come in here and do what we want to do the way we want to do it. And that was one of the big things for me is when I decided I wanted to start doing cosplay, the first thing I did was look at costumes and realize, wow, I need to figure out what I can and can't do. The skill sets were impressive, especially if you see some of the professionals out there. So I reached back way back in my head to middle school where we learned to sew. And so I started with a sewing project. I did robe, which included a lot of dyeing fabric and cutting and making patterns and that sort of thing. So I started with a skill set that I had, not a very good skill set at the time, but it was something that I knew, that I could work with, and that I could afford. I was buying fabric, I was buying pants, that sort of thing, and it was nice being able to do something that gave me a chance at success rather than something that might frustrate me and make me give up on what's become a very fantastic part of my life so far.
I don't want to interrupt, but there is actually another side. Well, of course I do. But there's actually another side to that. He did say, you know, we're older and our careers are established. However, sometimes you're a stay-at-home mom and then you get a divorce, and then you have to go get a career. So there is actually a whole other side to that. So then you learn about utilizing Joanne's coupons and how to cosplay on a budget. So there's lots of panels out there for that. So please check those out as well. But being, you know, close to 40 or over 40, those are also situations that happen in life as you get older. And I feel like the cosplay community itself is one that's amazing to be a part of when life hits you there. So not only do you have that creative outlet, but you also have a group that is just an amazing support system. So I just kind of wanted to touch on that.
If I could build on that one too.
Absolutely.
Just to add to that and support that too is we want to keep busy. Like for me, when the kids are in the house and everyone we're all busy, we're all doing stuff together. Now that they're full in the food, This is a great way to still be creative. Today, like yesterday, I think I was on Thursday, I was super impressed. There was a gentleman dressed up as, who's the janitor? Sorry, I don't know all the characters. Who's the in Harry Potter? He's the housekeeper, he's got the cat.
Bill.
Okay, there was a gentleman on Thursday who was Filch, and he had the cat, and it was him. And I thought that was fantastic. Here's this guy, all he did is put on his jacket and had a stuffed cat. And he was getting, what a way of it to still stay engaged with public, still stay engaged with the community, and still just get out and not stare at that screen. I think this is so important that for us is we have to find a new path now that if you have kids, carry on and move on. And seeing those other people, it was awesome.
We push that. Can you guys hear us? The ones that just came in, can you guys hear us okay?
Your mic's on.
We can't hear you anyway. We're old.
I have the microphone. You will listen to every word I say.
Great Bob Barker situation.
Come on down. Be sure to
When do we
span
get our
your
new
fast.
Old reference.
Anyway,
You're welcome.
to expand
Good
even
one from
further, it's the
Joanne's.
community. It's about the community that you create around this and how you interact with those other folks. That's the important piece of this, and that's the best part of this for me specifically, is the community that is built around it.
Yeah, and again, you know, each one of us is going to be talking from our different experiences. That's of course why we have the varied panel. It's because, you know, we have, you know, Chuck has his experiences when for where he's at in his position in life. He doesn't have any kids. I have two boys that are still teenagers. One's about to go to college. So I think that's, you know, so we all have different experiences, and we're all about the same ages in that same range-ish. So it's just when you start, you know, maturing and getting older, whatever it gets thrown at you in life, I think is the point, is that if you love this or you want to get involved in it for the first time, it's never too late to jump in. You know, 5 years ago, I knew what Comic-Cons were. I didn't really know a whole lot about them. And now I'm going to Comic-Cons all over the country. I'm having a great time. I've met a great bunch of friends and other builders that have taught me so much. And I think the biggest thing, and it doesn't matter what age you are, is this is a community that really raises you up and is okay with failure. It's like everybody talks about all the crap that they screwed up, because that's how you teach other people. And so, you know, be okay with that. So anyway, but yeah, for me, I'm in the position where, you know, I have the two teenage boys, my wife works, we actually moved from Spokane, where I was working full time, and I actually retired when we moved over because of the line of work I was in. I couldn't jump right back into it. And so that has brought a huge opportunity for me to have the freedom to be a stay-at-home dad, and also to really spend a lot of time in a shop and work on my cosplay. So yeah, like I said, everybody's situation is so totally different. We're just hoping we can give you some insight that might help you, either if you want to get into it and you're, you know, an adult and older, then we encourage that. Or if you're in it but you're starting to wane a little bit, you know, stick with it. It's a lot of fun. It's a great community.
Absolutely. One of those big resources for reaching out to others if you're not sure where to start are Facebook groups or Instagram groups or any of those kinds of support groups. There's a million of them for any fandom you can think of on Facebook, and all you have to do is search. Well, a few that you can find specifically, there's one for women and people who are non-binary called Sheeprop. There's also a few others for, like, you know, Amazon Sisters of Themyscira if you're into the whole Wonder Woman universe. There's for the, like, what is it, the Cosplayers of Valhalla, for yeah, like anything Thor or Marvel related in that universe and stuff like that. So even character specific things, there's all kinds of support groups out there who will support you and say, you know, if you post and say, I'm not sure how to do this thing and I want to make this look like this, someone, 5 people, 20 people will chime in and say, I have an idea for you. And they'll give you 6 different ideas that you can use to do what you're trying to accomplish. So definitely reach out.
One other thing that I wanted to, did you want to?
I was just going to say, give yourself time to experiment, and of course that's famous.
I'm getting freaking old. I am at the time.
So famous last words, because I had never done anything with a lace front wig until yesterday morning, and I went to put this one on. So don't do that. But give yourself time to experiment with the different materials so that you have the chance to figure out what works best. what, since there's so many different adhesives, there's different foams, I mean, whatever you're working with, so that way you have the opportunity to fail and to practice. So, if you know there's a con coming up in 6 months, don't do what we all do, and that's wait until the very last second to try to cram it out. Or what he does, but he'll just succeed, so that guy right there, props. Don't do that. But yeah, so just give yourself time to work on the projects.
Yeah.
Another thing that I wanted to touch on is a big difference between, of course, the younger crowd, 20-somethings that are trying to get into this, and us, is that we've got significant more experience, life experience, and it gives us a vastly different mentality where, for a lot of us, we've screwed up enough in life. We know that this isn't gonna end, it's not gonna be the end of the world. And it's nice knowing that, you know what, I can come back tomorrow and take another look at it, and that sort of thing. And it's the same thing with social media. It's not, we're fairly savvy here at this table, but not everybody is. My mom certainly isn't. That sort of thing. But the social...
I went to talk to you on the Facebooks. It's not how that works.
So, and it's a big difference between us and the younger crowd, where they're thriving on that. They have to have that positive feedback on social media, where the rest of us are like, I didn't even look at Facebook today. So there could be a huge difference in mentality and how we approach how we're going to
Different levels
find
of
a
patience.
costume or proceed with it.
Yeah. One thing I want to touch on that was mentioned is, failing a lot. Don't let that discourage you or stop you in your process. It will hurt you, and you will not like it, but please, please, please always give yourself the space to go back to your project and try again. Don't leave it unfinished. Don't throw it against a wall. Don't do those things. I know you're gonna want to, because I have, and that ends up not doing you any good. You're gonna feel like you didn't accomplish anything at the very end, and that's not what we're trying to accomplish. So really, really don't. Failure is a part of this, and it's going to happen over and over and over again, and then finally you're going to hit that sweet spot and you're going to feel like a badass. So just keep at it.
Yeah.
I have something funny that I do when I'm frustrated and I'm failing. While I'm working on it or while I'm failing, I yell